Cosplay is something every anime fan is aware of in some form or another. Whether you grew up with Halloween, or you are like me and are scarred because of a friend who sent you to the wrong room number twice for an after party at a con. Yes, Spencer, I am still pissed 17 years later. What I really enjoy about cosplay is seeing how much effort people put into their work, being able to see how they choose to express themselves with their outfit. There are plenty of different cosplayers out there, some that keep it simple and clean, and others who go full-on degenerate. You may be asking yourself, why am I talking about cosplay in my intro today? Well, my dear viewer, today I have decided to talk about a manga that I first decided to judge by its cover. When I picked it up at my local bookstore, I figured it was going to be another ecchi manga for my shelf that I would drop after a few volumes. I never expected to fall in love with a series about cosplay. However, here I am 15 volumes later and 3 months out from an anime release. I have decided to show some love to this series and hopefully get you to check it out for yourself, or at the very least, try and build some hype for the upcoming anime. So, for today's lesson, let's talk about 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. The story follows our main male character, Masamune Okumura. He is your typical otaku who does not care about how the world sees. He has his anime waifu and is okay being the president of the manga club, where, at the start of this year, he is now the only member. He does not expect anyone else to come to the club during the open recruitment. But, as a wise man once said, always expect the unexpected. To Okumura's disbelief, someone has come to his club, but not one who you would expect. This is Lilisa Amano, a freshman and a 3D girl. This surprises Okumura, who believes that she got lost and needs direction, and does not expect her to stay for long. But this is not the case, as she happens to call the club by its proper name, and then becomes enamored by the figures on the shelf. One thing leads to another, and Okumura begins to accept her as one of his kind. A full-blown weeb. We learn that Lilisa wants to be a cosplayer that produces CD-ROMs of herself to sell at conventions. So, she asked her senpai Okumura if he will take pictures of her. This was just one of the most adorable panels I have seen in recent manga history. Okumura is surprised by this, and is reluctant at first. However, that all changes when he sees her in her cosplay, which in his eyes was the equivalent of a virgin killer sweater. He decides to become her photographer. Little did either of them realize, not only would this show be great at talking about cosplay and expressing hobbies and love, but it would also be a fantastic romance that was led on unwillingly by that of a 2.5-dimensional seduction. This was a very fun and entertaining read for me. I found myself turning the pages of this manga like crazy, and I was always wanting to see what would happen next. I am very glad to have given this manga a proper chance to shine, as around the time I picked it up, I was honestly on the verge of almost giving up my love of anime and manga and becoming the worst type of person. A normie. It was thanks to this manga that my old self came back from his deathbed, and, honestly, what led to me restarting my entire collection that you see. To be honest, by the time I had reached the second volume of the series, I was already in love, and the moments that the two leads were spending together felt very genuine and realistic. Not something I can say about a lot of ecchi manga. Watching the two leads pull all-nighters before con deadlines and seeing them go on the equivalent of a first date was just priceless. I could not help but smile the entire time like a 6-year-old during the holidays. Now, let's talk about the clear elephant in the room. As you can see, this series is an ecchi harem, which is normally a pain to talk about because most artists think they have to throw fan service our way every 5 seconds, when that is not the case. Something I really hate about this subgenre of manga is I could be reading a very well-made story, but it begins to fall apart as soon as there is nothing but ecchi thrown in our face every couple of pages. And I think one reason I fell in love with that series is that it's done right here. And I talked a lot with my friend groups on this topic, and we all have decided to agree that not all ecchi is made equally. And this is one series that paces the art and everything perfectly, because the artist and author know what he's trying to talk about. He understands that the people reading this are educated. They don't want to just see boobs, tits. They're not horny like some people I know. The art alone in this series is just amazing. I can tell just by looking at any page from it that the author enjoyed every single pinch they made. Reading through this series, you can tell just how much the author loves the topic of cosplay, because they give so much information about it. Just talking about how to make a cosplay work, how to do this, how to do that. He does so very well talking about the different elements that it's just phenomenal, and it's nice to see somebody explain what cosplayers go through. As somebody who has been on both sides of that, of taking pictures of cosplayers as well as cosplaying myself, it's nice to see somebody kind of talk about it and explain it better than another series that I know that everyone loves. And I feel like this series can be enjoyed by a variety of people for one reason or another. For myself personally, what struck out to as the most was the hidden meaning hiding in plain sight, which in this case is that you can always enjoy your passion no matter what it is. Unless you're a fucking lolicon. Go and fucking die, you piece of shit. You should never let society tell you that you are not allowed to enjoy your hobbies. As most of you may know, here in Japan's collective mindset, a lot of people keep their hobbies a secret. While yes, Akihabara does exist, it is just its own pocket dimension. The rest of Japan keeps a lot of their hobbies under wraps. It takes a lot of courage to do anything, let alone cosplaying in public. There are many types of cosplayers out there, as I mentioned at the start of this video. Dressing up for cons can be a lot of fun. I mean, I've cosplayed a few of my favorite characters before, and I have made so many friends because of it. And I mean, I still remember when my cosplaying skills were very little, no more than just simple face paint and a black robe that I wore to a Star Wars, and it was a created character that I made, an OC if you will, and I decided to wear it when I had an early screening with a few friends of mine to the Rise of Skywalker movie. And when I went there, having a few other people that were local in the area that also dressed up and they wanted to take pictures with me was very heartwarming and relaxing. It was definitely the highlight of my night. I mean, and of course, don't get me wrong, I still get plenty of weird stares all the time when I talk about my hobbies. I mean, most 37-year-olds like myself don't have the same outlook. I mean, I rep my anime pride everywhere I go, rather it be with my Persona 5 Akechi bag, or just drinking gamer subs out of a waifu cup. People may look at me weird, but that doesn't matter to me anymore. I have determined to not let others decide what I like or how I should be as an adult. And to be honest, I enjoy anime and manga, and I refuse to ever give that up. And I'm kind of mad at myself that I almost did. But I'm glad I didn't. This manga was one that saved me. Being honest and open with my hobbies has done a lot for me. And it's led to some great memories and great friendships that I have created. I mean, I've been in Japan now for about 10 years, and one of my favorite things I have done was back when I was living in Aomori. I had a neighbor who also ran a hobby shop, and one day he asked me to look after his kid, and I did not mind doing it since I wasn't doing anything, and he happened to just give me a free model kit to this day that I still have, and it was very nice. You know, I never had been much into building models at the time, but this got me into doing it, which was not good because it added another expensive hobby to my list now that I think about it, but it was still very fun, because I really enjoyed not only this video game of Sakura Wars, but I enjoyed the anime that had recently aired at the time, and he knew that. So he just gave me one of the harder to find Sakura War model kits. And that, I thought, was very special. And I mean, to be honest, nothing is gonna top that in my life. A lot of things have happened. I believe enjoying your hobbies and expressing yourself can be a lot of fun within reason. And what really hit a chord with me in this manga was Volume 3. This is when the story entered what I like to call the teacher arc. Now, this one hit very close to home for me, obviously because I also am a teacher. And it shows someone who thought she had to give up her hobby because of her profession. As some of you may know, teachers here in Japan are shown to have some of the highest respect outside of that as doctors. And the idea of them doing anything risky, like selling cosroms of themselves being half naked, would be very, very taboo. This teacher was very worried about her personal image, which you can see that in this page alone, from where she is talking to Liliusa about society not accepting her. However, Liliusa decides to embrace this full force with such a beautiful, beautiful page that brought tears to my eyes, and I respect her for that. I mean, I am a walking taboo myself, not only as a foreigner, but also as an anime fan. We clearly see in this manga, during this arc, that giving up her passion for cosplay is killing her on the inside. But she's trying to fight it, as she believes she can't do that stuff as a proper public servant. And considering I was so close to giving up on my hobbies because I almost let societal norms win, I can relate to this character very, very much. With all that said, we now bring this lesson to a close. I hope you were able to take something away from this video, whether it be a new manga recommendation or a new outlook on life for expressing your hobbies more openly. And if you don't want to follow the manga or read the manga, even though I highly recommend it, at least check out the anime that starts airing here in a couple of weeks by the time this video goes live. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Professor Plague, and all I have left to say is, thank you, Sensei Hashimoto, for informing me that it is okay to enjoy what I love.